Star Wars Rebels Season 3, Episode 2, The Holocrons of Fate. Really enjoyed this one. I thought it was pretty cool that we got to see Darth Maul. As much as I did love the episode, there was so much that I felt this episode could have had as well, which is why I was like, I still enjoyed it, but I also felt like it could have been way better. Like, personally speaking, and I think I mentioned this for the premiere, I thought it was a little early to have Darth Maul come into Season 3. I was surprised by it. Plus, I knew it was just going to be a half-hour episode, which I feel, and maybe it's just because I really like Darth Maul, but it's like, if Darth Maul comes into play, I feel like it should be like a two-part thing. It should be like an hour-long episode or something like that. And I felt, I don't feel like we got gypped or anything. I just felt like, oh, it kind of sucks that they use this character, especially when we have Thrawn and stuff. Is like, we should, considering how early it is, we should definitely get more of him early on instead of, the first episode, which he wasn't in that much either, in the premiere. And then he's not in it at all in this. It's like nothing to do with the Rebels. It's all Jedi Sith stuff, which is always awesome, but it's like, okay, well, here's Darth Maul, and he's just in this half-hour episode. They did some great stuff in this, for sure. There are some amazing moments in this episode that, honestly, are probably some of my favorite moments in the series in general. And I really enjoyed some of the action stuff that they had. There wasn't a ton of action, but the action moments they had I thought were pretty cool. And this was really an emotional episode. It wasn't like super sad or anything, but the core of this episode was definitely the familial relationship between Ezra and Kannan, and I really did enjoy that when they go through the cave, especially once they go through their whole little mission together. Ezra actually hugs Kannan, which honestly I don't think has ever happened before. So I was like, that was actually an amazing moment to me. I was like, wow, that shows how close they are, especially after kind of the time gap between season 2 and season 3. So I really loved that moment. I was like, that was really cool. Like I said, some of the action stuff was really awesome. I love the scene where Darth Maul actually pushed Kannan out the airlock, which when I saw the trailer for that, I was like, oh, he'll hold on and stuff, and he'll use the Force or whatever, and he'll crawl his way back through as Darth Maul takes off. But he didn't. He actually got sucked out into space, and ignoring the obvious physics where he should have instantly died from that, it was still super cool. I decided I'll just go with he was using the Force as a shield for him. It just couldn't protect him permanently. But I love that scene, and he's in space, and he has to go through the shield, and he's freezing and stuff just before he hits the shield, and he actually survives. And I was like, that was an amazing scene. That was my favorite scene in the whole episode. But I like the action, that the scene where the crew actually escapes from Maul's robots, and they use the magnets to actually flip him upside down because of his legs, but he's still, deflecting the blast and everything, and he hits the console, and he flips down, and then he has them again. I was like, that was a great moment too. It was a small moment, but it was still really cool, and I was like, the little stuff that they had in this one that I did really enjoy. We got to see Bandu again, who really helped Kannan and Ezra, this is where the Sith holocron is, and he still talks to them again about kind of the good and bad and what will happen when they get both holocrons together, if they decide to use both holocrons. And it was really fun. It was an enjoyable episode. I just felt it was so unfortunate that, we got to see Darth Maul, and it was such a short episode. We didn't get an epic battle either, which is, admittedly, because, that really is because it's Darth Maul. I always expect him to do some crazy fight scene type stuff. But, we got Darth Maul super early, and it was just like, oh, this really cool stuff happened, and I know it's going to lead to some epic stuff because they do mix the holocrons together at the end, and I love the visuals for that as well. When it's almost, it wasn't negative, but I can't think of the name of that type of filter, but it was almost like neon, where they're completely lit up except for very distinct portions of their body, and Darth Maul you can only see the black, and everything else was basically a white outline. So I thought that portion of the episode visually looked really great as well. But Ezra's trying to go towards getting answers on how to completely destroy the Sith, and Darth Maul said something super suspicious when they were like, we could get any answer we want, and he's like, I want hope. And I was like, I don't know what the heck that means. That's super weird that he'd say that. And he's going through, and he's trying to get his answer, and Kannan convinces Ezra to turn away because it would really lead him down a darker path. So the holocrons completely blow up, which I thought was kind of funny. It was they couldn't, it can't just stop. You have infinite power. It's you only get one chance, and you use it, and then it blows up, and that's all they have. So I thought that was kind of funny. It was man, it couldn't just end. It had to be the epic Force moment, and it just blows everybody down to the ground. And you know, Ezra, of course, isn't able to get the answer that he was looking for. He mentions that he saw some random places and things like that. And I was kind of hoping he'd mention a certain location because they had Darth Maul saying some stuff, and he's like, you know, he lives. And I have to assume, with it being Darth Maul, that he's talking about Obi-Wan. And I thought they were going to have Ezra say something like, you know, he's he saw, like, you know, a sand planet or something like super vague, but not really that vague if you know Star Wars. But I have to assume it's Obi-Wan, unless he's talking about his brother, which his brother, I believe, just got stabbed when it was in Clone Wars. So, you know, he got chopped in half, so his brother could easily be alive at this point. But I just have to assume because it's Darth Maul, it has to be Obi-Wan, which has me so excited. I hope I'm right about that. I could easily be wrong, but I would lose my crap if they actually did it where Darth Maul, you know, that was like a big thing for this season. Darth Maul makes it to Obi-Wan, and they have like one final battle, and it would still suck because as much as he's a villain, I love Darth Maul as a character. I kind of don't want him to die, but at some point, you know, they'll have to. And I think that might be something we get this season. Like, I just assumed that he's talking about, you know, Obi-Wan is, you know, alive still and stuff like that. So I hope that's the case. I thought that was cool. They brought back, they made a cool reference to when Darth Maul was actually the ruler of the Mandalorians and stuff. That I thought was pretty interesting too. But I did really enjoy this episode. Like I said, the only issue I had is that it just seemed like it was too short because it's such an epic character, especially considering his introduction in the finale. This is like the first episode we had since he was introduced to the series, and it's hard to have that comparison where it's like, oh, that was like a crazy epic finale and all this craziness went on with Darth Maul being in, you know, Star Wars Rebels, and then this is the first episode of him in this season, and it's just a normal episode where it's like, oh, they fight, they don't really get answers, and then everything goes back to normal. It was like kind of like a typical episode of really any show where it was like, all right, conflict over, and now we go on to the next episode. And I was a little disappointed just because of the fact that it was Darth Maul, but I did enjoy the episode. I thought it ended a little abruptly because, you know, once once it happens, the explosion, it was kind of just like, oh, he went and he said something epic where it's like he lives, and, you know, giving the ideas that it might be Obi-Wan. And then with Ezra, it was like, yeah, I didn't really get any answers, and I don't know if I was saying what I wanted to see or what he wanted to see. And then it was kind of just like, that's okay, and everything's fine, we're together now. And it just ended right there. I was like, that just felt like a weird note. It just seemed weird after the craziness they went through. It kind of was just like, all right, well, it's done. All right, we got to wrap this up. And it just felt to me like just the way it ended was like, that just felt a little abrupt. It didn't feel like it had an exact resolution. And maybe because it was when they all finally got together, because normally that's like the middle of the episode. It's like, all right, we're all finally back together, and then they solve the problem. But it was like the whole thing was solved, and then they finally all meet, you know, each other by the very end of the episode, and it was like, all right, now they're all together, and the episode's done. So maybe that was another reason why it felt a little abrupt to me, because they finally all got back together, and then it was just like done. But I did enjoy this episode for sure. Like I said, the action sequences, as short as they may have been, I really did enjoy them. The Kannan thing was really awesome. Ezra hugging Kannan and kind of really learning the stuff, like with the spiders when they're in the caves and he freaks out and stuff like that. So certainly enjoyed that. I thought it was really cool. And I do hope, of course, that I'm right about Darth Maul referring to Obi-Wan when he says, like, he lives and stuff. I really hope he's talking about Obi-Wan. But fun episode, of course. Definitely want to know what you guys thought about it. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, or least favorite parts. And, of course, with that vague notion from Darth Maul, who do you guys think he's talking about? I just assume it. If anyone's going to kill Darth Maul, I kind of want it to be Obi-Wan, because they had that thing. They made it a full-on rivalry, you know, in Clone Wars. And I feel the only person that should, you know, kill Darth Maul should be Obi-Wan Kenobi, because they are like they're like, you know, nemesis or nemesis. I don't think nemesis is a word, but they're each other's nemesis. And I just feel like that would be the perfect conclusion to his character. Like I said, as much as I'd hate to see his character go, because I actually love Darth Maul as just a constant villain, I think it should be Obi-Wan. If anyone's going to kill him, it would have to be Obi-Wan. Or if something super crazy happened, if Darth Vader did it, I'd kind of let that pass too, because that would be a crazy battle. But I feel like it would have to be Obi-Wan, and that's what I feel like they're leading to. We already saw Obi-Wan. That was like season 1. We got to see him from, I believe it was from the holocron when it was first opened, the very first time, and it was like an image of him. So we've seen Obi-Wan, and it's the same voice actor from Clone Wars. So they do, you know, they bring those people in when they bring in those characters. So I would like to think that that's what they're planning, but I could easily be wrong. Like I said, I definitely want to know who you guys think Darth Maul was talking about, and of course what you guys thought about the episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.